Hey there and welcome to Matt's Garage. Well, I'm going to be changing the heater air conditioning blower motor on my 89 Mercedes 300 CE today. So this is a W124. It's going to be the same as a 300E. And in fact, I have a used replacement motor I removed from a 300E. So going to be putting this in. Runs better than it looks. So the first step here is just going to be to raise the hood, and then we're going to actually put the hood right up into the service position. Okay, so I'll just push it down a little, take the pressure off that latch, then that goes up a little. I come over here, down a little, take the pressure off the latch, and then you just push, and it will latch just on the driver's side. So when you go to put it back down, you just have to release that latch, and it will come right back down again. It's simply awesome for working on these cars. Okay, so I want you to ignore all of this. If you haven't followed along with my channel, I have swapped a Ford engine into this car, but otherwise, all of what we're working on today is original and stock. So the actual blower motor is down under here, and you have to remove, to start with, you have to remove these seals. So they just pull up, there's no glue on them or anything. So just put them aside. Another seal here. Now there's going to be, my fasteners here are slightly different, but there should be two of these little thumb bolts in this panel here on the firewall. I'll warn you, be very gentle with this panel. They are getting fragile as these cars age. This one's all broken up, and I was able to retrieve a good one off of my parts car, luckily. And then there's going to be these little thumb screws on the sides. I have like these little plastic nuts replacing them, but that's not quite original. Okay, so right there where I'm pinpointing the light, there was that thumb screw. Then there'll be another one right there. These ones over here, they're kind of like clips. You have to pry out on them as you take them off to get them off. What you're seeing there is not what was originally there. It's just what I added. So we're going to go ahead and get the rest of those fasteners out. And then a few other things I'll show you while I got the camera loose. There's a little white tab here. I believe there might be one in the same location on the other side, but my car only has one. They're commonly missing. There's the same thing with these metal tabs like you see here. There might be one of those there and there and there, and in the same spots on the other side, but half of mine are again missing. And then there's these 4 Phillips number 1 screws around here. Make sure you use a Phillips number 1. That's the smaller size Phillips. You'll strip them out if you try to use a number 2. And then these strips right here, they just pull up, and there's a bunch of Phillips number 2 screws underneath them. There's going to be some 10mm nuts for them holding in the wiper assembly. So I'm just going over what tools you'll need basically. And the rest is just prying and pulling basically. So let's get into it here. Yeah, I actually stripped the insert. There's a brass insert for those original ones. So I was able to thread a large bolt in here, and it threaded right into the plastic. So. And then I made this little tin piece to hold this together because it's all disintegrating on my car. I'm just going to remove this tin tab. Just a flat blade screwdriver will work. Just pry under one edge. We have this cover loose, but I find it best to get this upper cover off first. So now with those tabs off, it just kind of hooks in here. You'll see that. Again, you can just pry that up, and you can see that cover fell right off because this cover sort of hooks into it and clamps it into place. Okay, I'm going to remove this, and you just simply pull, grab and pull, and you can see it just clips in. Okay, there's 4 Phillips number 2 screws along here, so we'll get them out. And I'm just putting all these parts sort of in the order that they are on the car on my roof so that it's easy. They're all organized. So my paint's not very fancy. If it was, I guess I could put a blanket on my roof. So these two screws are much different than these two screws. See the difference? Much shorter on the ones that go into the plastic versus the ones that go into this aluminum strip here. Okay, and the same thing over here. Okay, now if there was a clip under here, you'd have to take that out first. Since there isn't, this will lift out. It kind of sticks into the duct at the end and you have to give it half a twist to get it out. See, it would have originally had a clip there, and I actually have one to go back on, and it just hooks that little T there, drops through that rectangle hole, the T does, and then the clip slides in underneath. See right here? See, I'm just laying everything out on the roof. See, that just kind of hooks under there. This one hooks in a bit more than the one on the other side. Okay, now for these screws, you want the baby Phillips, the #1 Phillips. And that whole trim piece comes off. It's just plastic. Okay, and now there's two Phillips #2 screws, one here and one right there. Okay, now this cover is actually loose. Just mind your wiring harness here. And it pulls out from under the wiper arm assembly seal. Just like that. Okay, there are 4 10mm fasteners on this. One here, one here, one here, one here, and then there's this clip here. So I'm going to demonstrate how to remove all that. Just make sure you don't drop these. Okay, now this clip here, you'll need a flat blade screwdriver, little pry bar or something like that, and just work it back. Once you get that back a little, you can even get under here. Just go like that. So that is all there is to that. Now this whole unit is loose, but there is an electrical plug. Just watch the end of your wiper arm and then just kind of turn that upside down. I'm turning it more than I need to just to show you that's where the plug is. And you just work the plug straight off. Now the whole assembly picks up out of there. Okay, so this is your blower motor housing, and we just got to get this cover off. And this is a temperature sensor. It normally doesn't have anything retaining it. I actually put a zip tie on there because I was worried about it jiggling out of there, so I put a little zip tie on there. I've been in here before and I oiled this motor trying to get it to run smooth. It's a newer motor. Okay, there's just a bunch of clips holding this cover on. So just a flat blade screwdriver or a little pry bar, whatever works. And there might be 2 more up here. They seem to be broke off on my car, but on the other car there was 2 up here, so look for that. And then there will be a wire, kind of route it through some clips here, so get that free. And then just lifts out of there. Now you can see this motor looks nice and clean and fresh, but unfortunately it doesn't run smooth. It makes a lot of racket, so it's going bye-bye. So just disconnect your 2 wires. They can only go back on one way, so don't worry about that. And there's normally a clasp here. I'll show you that on the other car. I have a little clip of that, and then it just lifts right out. I'm just here on the parts car that I'm removing the motor from, and I just wanted to show this quickly. I was going to show the whole procedure on this car since it's stock, but you can see everything's in such a mess here, it's hard to see what's going on. So I'm going to do the video on my car, but I'm just doing this clip because my car, I know, does not have this little retainer bracket here. It looks to me like I have to put something in this hole here and pry up. Yeah, like that. So that's like spring load it. So if you use a Phillips #2, the same one you use to get those little screws out around the wiper, and you just put the tip of it in there. So yeah, just to share with my W124 fans, I have this parts car now. complete parts car. And I also have a 300E sedan over there, which is a running driving car that I'm actually using already. Okay, so the only thing when you're installing the new one is to get the electrical contacts oriented correctly over on this side here. It just drops right in there. And then we're gonna put this clasp on, which was missing before, but we were able to retrieve it from the parts car. I got the bracket too, but I don't need it. But that is how it fits in there, just like that. I might need to lift that out of there just to allow that to go in there proper. I think I need to remove that bracket just to install this, and maybe that's why the last person left it out, because they got their order wrong and didn't want to go through the extra work. Okay, so to slip that in there, I got them all tight. Now you might want to vacuum out this area if there's any leaves or debris in here. I'll try my little pry bar in there. There we go. It took a lot of force, but it will stretch over and clip in. Okay, now we'll just hook up the electrical connections. Like, don't get the connector between the rubber and the connector, if you know what I mean. Make sure you get it in there proper. And then these wires, I don't like that they're just here like this. Okay, now we're gonna do a test run here to make sure this runs smoothly. Okay, well that's on low speed. Boy, that really wobbles. Oh, there we go. They were holding this flap, which is like the blend door. Wow. Okay, that might help my ventilation quite a bit. Wondered why that was looking different than the other car. That was stuck like that when I went in here the first time. So the previous person who installed the fan motor messed up, and then I didn't know any better. You just gotta kinda make sure all those tabs are in the right place as it drops down, basically. It has a little groove that it really fits nicely into. So we'll get these ones at the back. And there's one here. There's one here. There's one here. 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 And here. So now I'm just going to test run it one more time just to make sure it doesn't rub on the upper housing at all before I put it back together. But I think we're good to go here. Okay, well it's running smooth and quiet. Doesn't seem to be running as quick as it was before. This is on high, but I noticed it takes a minute to spool up, and so did the old one. Okay, now the rest of the assembly is going to be very much the reverse of disassembly. So I'm not going to make the video too long. Make sure you put this temperature sensor back in there. I had this little zip tie on it. And then I have this little wire brush. The purpose of this little wire brush is the pins on the wiper motor, you want to scrub them with a wire brush because they get corroded, and then put some dielectric grease in this plug before you put it back together. Okay, so just a couple quick notations to do with the wiper assembly. You gotta manhandle that arm and relieve the spring to get these to line up on the studs in here, and to get it to slide into position nicely. And then you just want to slide that clip over with the long side up with the little tab up, and then you want to tighten all of these by hand. That's the other important thing I wanted to stress, because you might shear off these rubber mounts if you used an impact on them. They're just, see, they're flexible rubber, so just tighten them back up by hand, and careful tightening those screws. Don't torque them down too much or you will crack that little piece of trim there. And the same thing, these are just into little clips, all of this, so don't over tighten them, just snug is good. One other quick tip for you is I actually lubricated all the pivot points on my wiper assembly when I had it removed. I just used 3-in-1 oil. use whatever lubrication you feel will work best. Okay, when you put this cover back, ignore this to start with. Put this edge down first, then you drop this down on top of the rubber, and then you fish the rubber up, and then it tucks in under that little tab on each end. See that? That's important to make sure the next trim piece fits down properly. Then these clips here, they go this way up. So you may need to press down right here on this panel, and then I think I got it. Yep, just like that. So I've got one on both sides now, and then these little clips, they just press on like that. And then on the corners of this piece here that go right here, it's just these push-on is what you're going to find, and they're actually kind of tricky to get off, but you just pry out and turn at the same time and they will eventually come off. Okay, well here I am about 2 weeks later going back in here to change the blower motor resistor. So you want to make sure that that isn't in fact your problem. It can cause variances in the speed of your blower motor. It can cause delays in it starting, and it can even cause squealing issues. So I think this has been my issue all along. It completely conked out a couple hours after I changed that motor and caused the motor to quit working. So I have a brand new blower motor I'm putting in, and I have a blower motor resistor I'm putting in, but it's not a factory part because that's a very expensive part. And there that is before I seal it all in, and the correct wire placement under the clip there. I had that wrong in the prior clip. Okay, well thanks a lot for watching Matt's Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe for a whole lot more Mercedes content, and have yourself a great day.